I had the opportunity a little bit early on this week to talk with the parents of a person who's still being held hostage in Gaza. The suffering is not yet over for Jews who are taken and their families, everyone who is stolen off into the hellhole that is the Gaza Strip created by Hamas. Hamas could surrender. This could be over any day they want, but they are not. I was joined earlier this week by Orna Neutra and Ronen and Neutra. Their son, Omer Neutra, is a 22-year-old dual citizen of the United States and Israel and was kidnapped into Gaza. Here's what it sounded like. Joining us on the line are Orna Neutra and Ronen Neutra. They are the parents of Omer Neutra, a 22-year-old dual citizen of the United States and Israel, who was kidnapped by Hamas on October 7th. Orna and Ronen, thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you for having us.
Why don't we begin by talking about Omer as a person? Obviously, he's an American citizen. He decided that he was going to go join IDF. Tell me about your son.
Omer was born here in New York City. He grew up on Long Island. Very warm community. He grew up, warm Jewish community. Very Zionistic. Obviously, we're also dual citizens of the United States and Israel, and we have a big family in Israel. So we visited Israel many times. We're both descendants of Holocaust survivors. And Omer grew up on the ethos that, Israel needs to be strong. He loves Israel. And when he was accepted to college, it was a family decision for him to spend a gap year before he went to college in Israel. And he chose to spend that year together with Israeli kids in a Mechina program, which is pretty much a gap year for Israeli kids before they joined the army. And he grew very connected to his new friends and to, I guess, certain parts of his identity which were dormant. And throughout that year, he started developing feelings that, he couldn't just go back to his life without doing his share and protecting Israel, which he loved so much.
Yeah, but I want to add that Omer is an all-American kid. He loves the NBA, the NFL. He's doing fantasy leagues. He's just like any American. He grew up here. He loves America, and he learned to love Israel. And
he has a messy room.
and yes, sometimes he's very goofy, and he's extremely social, and he's a big guy. Everybody loves to hug him and to be together with him. It's just we miss him so much.
So I know it's difficult, but take me through the events of what you know about what happened on October 7th with Omer.
Yeah, so Omer and his group were stationed between Kibbutz Nirim and Kibbutz Nir Oz. And their job was to protect those kibbutzim in time of peace. And nobody expected, obviously, there was a big failure of intelligence because nobody expected what happened on October 7. And on early morning, October 7, they rushed to the border as first responders with 2 tanks and a small platoon of Golani soldiers, trying to protect the border, not knowing that they're going to be meeting and facing thousands of ISIS, Hamas terrorists gushing through the border, attacking their tank. Their tank also had a malfunction. The brakes were jammed. And unfortunately, it had to drive very slow. As a result, they managed to put explosive on the tank, put it on fire, and Omer and his team were pulled out of the tank after it was smoked and taken hostage into Gaza. It took us a few months to learn that the driver was actually killed on that spot, and one of the soldiers was murdered as it was pulled out of the tank, and Omer and a teammate were taken alive into Gaza. That's as far as we know. There was a video propaganda that Hamas published that is just available out there, and basically showing that they're pulled out of the tank. But we have no further information ever since.
So there have been opportunities for the International Red Cross to get aid into Gaza, but they've not had any contact apparently with the hostages at this point. Is that correct?
The Red Cross was not allowed, and that. How can that be? That the Red Cross is not allowed to visit any one of the hostages, and we got no official to see them, see their medical condition, give them attention, make sure that they're getting fed and getting water. No, we have no idea. We know from people that return that the conditions there are horrible.
We have been kept in the dark. This is, you're talking about a terrorist, the biggest terrorist attack on the Israeli state on October 7th. But for us, it's been a prolonged terrorist attack. And of course, for the hostages, they're still there. And from what we just recently saw, the information that came out after the brutal execution of the 6 young people a month ago, there's not much room left for imagination there. We were shown the conditions that they've been held. They were found emaciated. What else does the world need in order to take action on this?
As we've been talking about today, October 7th marks 1 year since the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. 1,200 Israelis lost their lives, over 250 were taken hostage, and the war in Israel continues to rage on today. Earlier this month, Iran launched a massive barrage of nearly 200 ballistic missiles at the Holy Land. This isn't just another conflict in the Middle East. Israel and her people are facing attacks from enemies on all sides who seek her destruction. But there's hope. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground, providing food, shelter, and safety to those in need during this crisis. Since the war started, thousands of reservists, everyday Israeli citizens, have left their families to serve their country. Soldiers have been injured, and their families need our support. Your gift of $100 today helps the fellowship provide food and other necessities to these families to help them survive. Here's what I need you to do right now. Go to benforthefellowship.org. That's benforthefellowship.org to make a gift today. In the face of these many threats, the fellowship's ongoing work providing security to Israelis has never been more important. Remember, that's benforthefellowship.org. God bless and thank you. Now is the moment to give. Never has there been, in recent memory, a more dangerous time for the state of Israel and for the people of Israel. Remember, benforthefellowship.org. Thank you so much. Your son is a dual citizen. He's an American citizen. Have you spoken with the Biden-Harris administration at all about what's going on with your son? What sort of support have they offered, if any? What are they talking about doing?
So we are feeling that the Biden administration has been very communicative with us. We've been traveling to Washington, D.C. probably 15 times or more. We met in the White House with the National Security Advisor team. We are meeting them periodically, every 2 or 3 weeks, and they give us updates. They care about our opinion. We share thoughts. But, as they said, the proof is in the pudding. Our son is still there. 7 Americans are still there. And we are pushing them, as well as any international party, to do whatever they can to put pressure both on Hamas and in Israel to reach a deal that is so much needed to bring our son back and the rest of the hostages.
Yeah, it must be very difficult, obviously, not just what you're going through, but also to watch the world response to what has happened since October 7th. People marching in the streets in solidarity with Hamas as parents of somebody who's being held hostage by Hamas. What do you make of that?
We think it's just insanity, what's going on. And, we really believe that if there was real concern for the Palestinian people, or really appealing to anyone who's really concerned, for the Palestinian people, then they should be demonstrating together with us against Hamas and against Hezbollah and against all these enemies that are surrounding the state of Israel, because they really do not care about the Palestinian cause. They are taking their own people hostage, and they're just using them in their fight against the state of Israel. So, what we're seeing, people demonstrating in favor of these terrorist organizations, is just appalling. And it's such an inversion of the truth. Where's the moral clarity on this?
Zero moral clarity. And I want to give an example. There is a 7th of October demonstration in McGill University in Canada. And on their advertisement, they're showing the tank that Omer was pulled out of as a pro-Palestinian victory, that they are marching for the pro-Palestinians. Can you imagine that? His tank is being shown on McGill University propaganda as a proof that what happened was the right thing, the attack on Israel. It's disgusting.
So you've started a GoFundMe to help to free your son. You guys are going around doing all sorts of diplomatic initiatives. You're reaching out to other families who have relatives who are being held hostage. in Gaza and conducting international media outreach. We'll drop the link, obviously, below so that people can help give. What's your message as parents of somebody who's being held hostage? What is it that the American people, that the world needs to know about the situation of family members who are currently being held hostage by one of the worst terrorist groups on the planet?
Well, our life stopped on October 6th. We spoke with Omer last on October 6th. This was before anything, happened, and he was expecting a quiet weekend. Our life changed forever on October 7th. And anything that we did or knew before that has shifted and been moved aside, and like you said, we've been traveling across the world, to Israel, back to Washington, to everywhere where there's an ear and an opportunity to impact or do something to impact the release of Omer and the remaining hostages. And it's taken a toll on our family, on our work, and it has a cost to it. And we don't see the end of it right now. We pray and hope that this will end, but real soon. But we're not seeing it right now.
We have to continue to put pressure on the U.S. administration. Of course, we're in an election year. We've been both in the DNC and the RNC. We saw that this is a bipartisan issue. The hostages is a humanitarian issue. It's not political. Yet everything becomes political end of the day. And we have to press everybody, including the current administration, now to act. This is a matter of life and death. There's no time. The hostages are dying there. We can't wait and say, let's see what the next administration is going to do. We simply don't have that luxury. So we are acting full steam. And of course, October 7th coming up is just a date for us. We count the days and the hours and the minutes, and it's all becoming very, very blurry. And we appreciate any, our community and anybody who's willing to help and assist in our plight to bring those hostages back. There are hostages from 20 different countries, 5 main religions. This is not just an Israeli problem. This is not just a Jewish problem. This is a humanitarian global problem. And if we don't solve it, it's going to hunt us. And it can come here. Omer was born a month after 9/11. We were here in New York City. And we saw what terrorism can do. We have to fight terrorism wherever it is, because if you don't fight it at its origins, at its roots, it's going to hunt you and come back to your home. And that's what we are shouting here in front of everybody. Help us bring the hostages. Taking hostages is such an inhumane behavior against any international law, not letting, like you said, the Red Cross see them. Who does that? Taking bodies as bargaining chips. Who does that?
Well, Ronen and Orna Neutra, thank you for coming on the show and talking about your son. Thank you for your courage, and hatzlacha in everything that happens from here on out.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Are you tired of the lies and the twist of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.